Hey guys, so this is the Blooddrake 40k, and I guess you can count this as a introduction to the channel, so to say. So this first video here, or at least I'll have it sectioned off as the intro video, will just be kind of a intro to Space Marine 2, so to say, tips and tricks for beginners. So to start that off, you're going to be at the main menu here and hit continue. Now, you do have to play, I believe, the first mission in the campaign, just while Titus is in the Death Watch, and then you have your cutscene, and then you can enter into the PvE mode, and that's what we'll be getting into today. I would say this game has high and low replayability at the same time. I find it highly replayable just because of the amount of customization, and not exactly on aesthetics or anything like that, but between all the classes and all the builds, there's just simply so many different ways to play this game. The missions themselves, yeah, there could be more, but I think at this point there is a good amount of missions. What there isn't a good amount of is boss fights. I think that is probably my favorite part of this game, and hence why I tend to play the missions with them so much more often. But yeah, so you're gonna load in here. This is your Thunderhawk. You'd stand into here to take off for your mission. Here's the literal interact screen, mission terminal. Has your operations, your siege, and your stratagems, but we'll start here with operations. So you have quick match, just sends you into a random bot lobby, not bot lobby, any lobby. And up here is your difficulties, minimal, average, substantial, ruthless, lethal, and absolute. At this point in the game, I only play absolute, but I'll be playing a mission on, what's the easiest, minimal today. Me setting myself up like it's my first day in the game. Here are all your missions. 1 through 13 now. Oh my goodness, I was going to say 12. Right here is your campaign if you want to go back to that in the PvP here, but we're just talking about PvE. Next is Siege. This is basically Horde mode if you ever played Gears of War 2 or 3. It's fun, but I wish there were more variety in maps, and it can get repetitive. Stratagems, there are missions from operations here, but with modifiers on difficulties normal and hard. So you can kind of see here. Battlefield conditions. They're usually a buff and a debuff, or just debuffs, or sometimes a couple of each. See, there you go. Vanguard and Sniper both going to suck on that mission. But you have double ammo and Butcher's gifts for everybody else. Yeah, back to operations. So that's just how you get into a game, but how you actually play the game is what's decided over here. But I thought I'd do something a bit more fitting to show off all the classes and to do a little bit of lore here. Not a ton, but just every class I think is pretty representative of the guys that would play them. So you have your 7 classes here, Tactical being the first. I'll go through them slowly. So Tactical is the definition of a jack of all trades, which is kind of like the Imperial Fist, like I have them here. If it wasn't him, it'd be an Ultramarine. But Tactical is, again, the jack of all trades. There is nothing he is incredibly horrible at, and there's things he's very good at, but there are things that he's not entirely, like, insane at. He's like a Swiss Army knife, I find. However which way you build him, there's always an effective build for whatever you are doing as Tactical. He is, in my opinion, like a necessary person you need to have on your team. If you're doing anything extreme, someone always needs to be playing Tactical. He's just, honestly, he's kind of the GOAT. He is the best and worst class in the game. I find that his skill cap is similar to that of Sniper, where because he isn't as tanky as everybody else, well, Tech Marine's a little worse, but similar. Tech Marine is more of a glass cannon. Anyways, because Tactical does have a bit of squishiness to him, I find the skill cap is very high. He has very, very high damage potential, but also very, very low contested health recovery. Unless you're using the right build, and currently he does have a bit of a broken build, but if this is your first time playing this game, Tactical would be the one I would start as. This is just get the basic mechanics. He has the widest selection of primary weapons, starting from just the auto bolt rifle, everything. Pretty much everything you could possibly imagine. He even has a little SMG, and then this is the equivalent of a shotgun. But personally, I think this heroic Deathwatch variant is probably his best weapon, probably the best primary weapon in the game right now. But yeah, for his secondaries, he has access to 3, both the bolt pistols and the plasma pistol. And for his melee weapons, he only has access to 2. I think he should have access to the power axe and the power sword, but it's beyond me. He's more than powerful enough, so it is kind of irrelevant. In his perk tree, there are a couple builds. This is my current build. but if this is your first time to the game, you have nothing unlocked. Anyways, next will be Assault. Assault is no primary weapon, but he has this. This is what you trade it for. Big jump pack, enables enhanced dashes and powerful jumps resulting in new combat moves. So he jumps up in the air, slams down really hard, does a ton of damage. When played correctly, he may be the most effective melee class in the game. Emphasis on that. I think he is similar to Bulwark in terms of his ability to duel terminus enemies and to deal out damage, but I think a higher skilled Assault player is better than the best Bulwark player. I think the class can be used in some ferocious ways I've seen. Next class would be Vanguard. Actually, no, we're going to go back to that. He has a lot more secondary weapons. So he has both bolt pistols, the plasma pistol, the Inferno pistol, kind of like a pocket shotgun, the Neovolkite pistol, which is a laser beam that does heat damage over time, and then the handheld bolt carbine. Handheld SMG burns their ammo super quick. Doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's very good in a pinch. I did not have that equipped before. I think it was this. And his perks, this is my current build, but there are a couple builds for Assault that I'd get into in a later video. Next is Vanguard. This was really the first class that I would say I mastered. If you are a beginner to this game, after your time with Tactical, I'd recommend Vanguard in order to get comfortable with kind of movement and how to play aggressive without it being too demeaning, what's the word? Too detrimental to your playthrough. Vanguard is a bit of a heal bot once he's leveled up, and I find he's incredibly hard to die with unless you just corner yourself and simply, corner yourself and just get pummeled by a group of enemies. He has such good mobility, such good health recovery, and it's just so mobile, able to get in and out of situations that although his damage isn't insane, he probably does the least individual damage across all the classes. His survivability and his influence on a team and keeping his teammates alive, though, is his bread and butter. He is all close range. You can build him long range with certain weapons like this guy right here or this, but he is no sniper and he is no tactical. I would say his best two builds revolve around the classic bolt carbine and the melter rifle, but to each their own. His pistols are the bolts, both bolts pistols, the Inferno pistol and the Neovolkite. And his melee weapons are the knife, the chainsword, and the axe. All of which have their own different builds and abilities. This is the current build I use for him, which I've honestly been using for a while. I think Vanguard is just a very easy class to be very good with. Next is Bulwark. This guy is the definition of catch me outside, how about that? He is here to stand on business and throw hands. That is all he does. He is the tank of the team, even though there is heavy. Bulwark is who will stand in front of a hallway, though, and take on the wave, while everything that trickles past him is your job to clean up. He is so survivable with his banner, especially if you use the healing banner, which, where is it? I don't even have it on right now. But, oh no, yes I do. This guy here. He can solo save runs, honest to God. But no primary weapon, just hands, similar to Assault. He's here to swing his sword and occasionally shoot a guy. But for the most part, if you're here to play like it's Elden Ring, you're playing Bulwark. Sniper, so self-explanatory. There's not much I really need to say here. He has a variety of weapons, one being close range, but in general, you have the DMR here, essentially the soccer bolt rifle, a burst carbine that can perform like an SMG, but isn't too horrible at range either. Bolt sniper rifle, the heroic one here, has insane damage, and the bolt carbine, which I just said in the last fusel. Earlier, well, this game was newer, this was by far the best, but I think nowadays, if you're skilled enough to use this guy, it's amazing. And as you can see the stats here, that's the kicker. No ammo, but crazy damage. And you gotta make sure you hit your shots. His ability is that he goes invisible, and he can be undetected by enemies, which is quite useful. Next is Heavy. Again, the guy's pretty self-explanatory. No melee weapon, because he's too busy shooting everybody. His ability is the Iron Halo. As you can see here, creates powerful barrier blocking all range damage. And his two primary weapons, but he has a variety of them as well. This Tactical can also use. It's not exclusive to Heavy, but I believe his best is still this. I use a double heroic build because I think it's the most fun, but I don't know if it's entirely the best. Heavy is a class I do not play a ton as well, though, to be honest. The big heavy bolter here. Just big minigun. That's all I can say. It's great. Heavy plas, shoots big plasma bombs. Kind of like a energy grenade launcher, but a little different. Big shotgun, very good at close range, shoots fire, and the flamethrower. Self-explanatory. And finally is Tech Marine. This is the newest class added into the game. I find he is the most similar to Tactical, but instead of an Auspex scan, you get the servo gun. And that will target high-level enemies if you have it built the correct way, and I find it can save your ass. One of the greatest things with Tech Marine is that there is no real penalty to using balanced or fencing with him. I find with all the other classes, because they don't have a servo gun to take their gun strikes for them, you get caught with your pants down a lot of the time when you're taking a gun strike and a lictor decides that he wants to tackle you. Whereas with this guy, there's no delay. Servo gun takes all your gun strikes for the most part, unless it's a perfect dodge, I think. And he just keeps going. I think the build I have for him here is probably his best build, at least weapons-wise. He dishes out a ton of damage, but cannot take a ton of damage himself. He has a servo gun on his shoulder, but can also start up turrets throughout the mission. He is very useful, but you need to have a very skilled player playing Tech Marine. It does seem, though, that if you just spam your servo gun, you can really get by, but if you want to play very difficult missions and doing things beyond just playing Absolute, the Tech Marine needs to be one of the most skilled players on the team as well as a Tactical, because they simply just do not have the health recovery that everybody else has. And you can see his perks here. I believe I have his set up just for the sniper servo. Yes, exactly. I find it's very useful against extremists and it can save you in a pinch. I honestly forget to use servo gun a lot of the time because I feel like I'm playing Tactical, but when I remember it, it's very good. And a lot of heroic weapons here. But I say this is kind of conclusion to just a little class overview here of everybody, but I think I should play a mission. Tactical on Inferno on the easiest difficulty, and I will be stripping myself of all perks and weapons and just do kind of a tutorial and a bit of a lesson of how to play this game, at least on PS5, and just some kind of basic game mechanics. So, armor, I guess we can start here. I guess that wouldn't make too much sense. Here we go. I'll be a Blood Angel, because that's how we do things, but perks-wise, we'll be resetting everything. Am I able to unequip perks? I cannot, so I'll be having my perks, unfortunately, but my weapons will be at least their worst variants with all their perks, unfortunately. But bolt rifle, we'll just use the standard bolt pistol. We're using nothing fancy here. Nothing fancy here at all. Balance, perfect. You'll be seeing me use some gun strikes. And my perks is what it is. Won't be doing much for me though. Okay. I'll run over for the cinematic effect. But I will be doing this alone with just some commentary. And maybe I'll die, and this will be greatly embarrassing. Knowing that I need all my abilities to be good at this game, regardless of the difficulty. But, private mode, bots off. Difficulty minimal, and honestly, even though Inferno's the first mission, Decap's more fun. I want to fight the Hive Tyrant, so we're going to be doing that. But start your mission in there, and here we go. So a little bit about myself. I've been playing this game since last January or February, I believe, playing it on a PS5 Pro, and I'm a pretty big fan of 40K. I've gotten into the hobby over the last 3 years, honestly, by falling asleep to lore videos and just spontaneously waking up hearing something insane and thinking that it was pretty cool, and just progressively getting more into it. Not entirely by my own intention, just really finding those long lore videos, those 10-hour ones, just to fall asleep to, just so entertaining and so calming, I guess. But growing up, I was a huge fan of Star Wars and wasn't the biggest fan of how that ended. And here I am into 40k. I find there's a lot of people like myself there, where it's just a lot of lost Star Wars fans finding a new sci-fi verse to get into. But 40k's been a lot of fun, and I'm a little bit into the tabletop. I have painted maybe 20 models, but I've never played a game. I just do it for the love of the game. It's a lot of fun. But, yeah. So, should have started talking about the game here. So I'm playing tactical. Got myself a standard bolt rifle, bolt pistol, and chain sword. So you always want to go for the head, regardless of what you're doing, unless it's certain plasma weapons, I guess, but always go for your headshots. They always stack, and you do not need to be full auto at all times. And this is going to be a lot easier than I expected, unfortunately. Maybe I should just do this with my chain sword only, but this will be a bit of a breeze. See how only going for the head does so much more damage? If you saw me shooting their bodies, I'd be emptying a mag in each of their chests. Always remember to dodge, and always remember to parry. If there's anything you need to be good at in this game as quickly as you can, it's to parry. Parrying will save your life. And parry, I don't know what the key is on console. On PlayStation, it's L1. You need to time it as when the enemy's weapon is to hit yours, as well as your executes. Executes restore your contested health and provide 1 armor back, as you can see there. There, for a better example, see my armor on the top left of the screen, perform execution, and it's back. I find this game is a lot of endurance and enduring damage you are bound to take, but it is also rapid damage output by yourself in order to recover your contested health. There are a lot of situations where you are simply going to get messed up. There is nothing you can do about the 15 spores surrounding you. You just need to be able to do enough damage to keep yourself alive. And there are a lot of classes that are even more so leaning to that, especially Bulwark and Assault. To an extent Vanguard and Tactical, but mostly those two. Simply because you're up close and personal all the time, taking damage but also dealing out more than you're taking, hopefully. I don't need any of this, but why not? The game can get repetitive, I would say, but if you're a big fan of the hobby and 40k in general, it's kind of hard not to, because there's just so much customization, so much you can do, despite there not being a ton of missions. Well, maybe not a ton of, there is a ton of missions, variety between missions, I would say. There's a lot where it's just go here, do this, go there, wait here, survive that. The best ones are the ones where you have to go in and fight something at the end, like this one here, and that's why I'm not playing Inferno. I've played enough Siege mode in my day, so I'm alright with passing on that for now. See, almost could have got sniped there. With those, it's a delay with them. You need to memorize the sounds and knowing what you can dodge, what you can't. See? I knew that he would shoot there, and those spores as well. Okay. And that was a tactical perk activating. Apologies for that. But, see, just took damage. I kept taking it because I knew I had him low, and I could get my execute off. Same with that. I'm supposed to shoot, go into the execute, you're invincible, and they can't hurt me. Dodge, keep blasting the head. And that's a gun strike. I should have actually done a bit better of a job showing off the melee system, or combat system in this game, rather. Gene Seed is another thing. Here's one spot for free on Decap, that little hole in the wall there. But Gene Seed adds to the XP you take home at the end of a mission. So if you watch my True Solo videos, I believe there's 2 of them at this point, you can see that in the one video playing this mission, I'm holding Gene Seed. That allows me to take an extra 2,000 XP out of the mission. I obviously don't need it, but it's a bit of a flex to have, showing that you didn't go down once, because if you're holding Gene Seed and go down, that's it. It's gone. So when you're playing on higher difficulties, the guy holding Gene Seed better be good at the game. Because if he goes down, nobody's getting that XP boost. Also, use the map to your advantage. On the higher difficulties, that would not have been enough to kill them, but on this it's fine, and it can save you some ammo in a pinch. Oh, I knew there was something coming up. Here, I'm gonna stop using my primary weapon and start showing off. So there are multiple combos with a chain sword. That is the hit, hit, hold. Here's a parry. There you go. And that gives you a gun strike when using balanced or fencing stance. And now because he was a low health, the reason I had a second one was because that initial gun strike took him to low enough health that he was executable, therefore providing me the second one. But in a group here, you can see that the chain sword is able to hit multiple enemies at once. I believe the only melee weapon that can only hit one at once is the combat knife. But chain sword, again, being a bit of a jack of all trades, is able to do more than that, and you can just attack, combo, spam to oblivion whatever's in front of you. Also, your grenades, they're quite useful, especially when you got Raveners. And that's how you deal with a Ravener, which is an extremist enemy. That's something I haven't been talking about. Oh my goodness. So, there are tiers of enemies. The small guys are called Minoris, at least fighting Tyranids, and the big guys are called Majoris, the one I just killed here, the taller guys. The Ravener there, that was the big kind of snake, scorpion looking thing tunneling around, that is an extremist enemy. There are multiple extremist enemies in the game. They are all unique. Think of them kind of like the special zombies in Left 4 Dead 2. They all got their own abilities and perks. One of them's invisible, jumps out of nowhere, kind of like a hunter. One of them's, I guess I'm not going to talk about tournaments yet, but yeah, the extremist enemies are all unique. Just Biovores, Lictors, Raveners, and Zoanthropes. I'll call them out as we see them, but we might not see many today because of the difficulty. On Absolute, you get spawns of 2 to 3 all the time. On minimum, like we're playing now, that might be the only Ravener I see all day. But as you get better at the game, you progress through the difficulties, you'll be facing a whole lot of those. Okay, I'm not a fan of what's going on over there. So that's a guy calling out for help. You don't want that happening ever, because then more enemies show up, and we don't want that. Although I enjoy taking care of these guys, I don't need to be doing it any more than I have to. Another thing I should be mentioning though, is that when you kill a Majoris enemy like this guy here, if he's surrounded by Minoris enemies, as in the little grunts, all of them will die around him. So when you're playing the higher difficulties, you need to prioritize really only killing them unless you absolutely have to kill the small guys. You save your ammo and you only deal with the threats that are necessary. I need to be swinging my sword a bit more, but it's okay. Case in point, see? I only need to kill the one. Case in point again. Perfect. Let's get that last spawn and let's get out of here. Okay. Parry. Parry. Oh, not yet. And I call myself good at this game. Absurd. Must be too used to block stance. Excuse me. And that's probably another wave coming in. Yep. See how far that did damage them? Sometimes you gotta do that to them. I would say starting off this game playing tactical, though, is probably your best bet. It gives you a general feel of everything. Although you don't have all available weapons, especially on the melee or sidearm end of things, you get a big exposure to the primary weapons. You learn kind of the basic mechanics of the game with him very well. And he's just, again, just a jack of all trades. He's able to do everything relatively well, and he's not horrible at anything in particular. Which is cannot be said about all the other classes, unfortunately. The other ones, it's a bit more leaning towards a certain way. They're very, very good at one thing, not the best at other things, and it's the skill expression that, although you have your disadvantages, you can make your advantages work so well that it cancels it out. Whereas with tactical, as long as you do your job, he's great at everything. Goodness, it's a whole lot in there. Sometimes that's how the game is. They just spawn endless amounts of you, even on the easiest difficulty. And although this isn't impressive to any means, I haven't taken any health damage yet. It really shows how powerful your weapon perks are and why you need to always do them and level up your weapons. Because I'm using the worst variants here, but I'm still killing Majoris to the head with maybe 5 bullets. And that's Gene Seed. That's what it looks like. It's hidden throughout various parts of the map. They have different spawns depending on the difficulty you're playing on, surprisingly. But I don't even have them all memorized yet. I really could kind of care less half the time just because I am max level and everything. And I can see if I've gone down or not that game at the end, so... there's a Discord server that I play in where we have battle reports and you show how well you did, how the team did, who went down, all that kind of fun stuff. And when you're posting those all the time, you kind of stop caring about the Gene Seed because you already have everything shown. Kind of love the look of the basic Primaris Marine. Just first company basic boy here. Is that so, my friend? I don't think I've ever heard these lines before.
Negative. The objective is the Hive Tyrant, not the bridge. Defend this position until the Tyranid.
Wonder if I'll get a Terminus this mission. Likely not, because I already have the Hive Tyrant, but it would be fun to have to fight a Carnifex right now. That's the point you progress to, where you dread the boss fights, and now you're looking forward to it. And I'll just waste my ammo. So why not? And I can't make a single shot to save my life. Alright, very nice. Oh. I gotta, again, focus these guys. Kill these guys, everybody else dies. And then you can start swinging. That as well. That's a tactical perk going off, if you're wondering what the flames are randomly when I execute people sometimes. And that's that. Look at that drip. Already about 2/3 done this mission, but we gotta wait for this lovely guy to get over here. Crush him with this bridge. Awesome. Let's keep going. Fortunately, you gotta wait for their nice dialogue and then we can go. It's definitely not the most riveting of gameplay I'm providing here. It's a bit too easy for me, but hope I'm providing enough knowledge to kind of
Still in full effect.
show off a bit of how to play this game. I find a lot of it is spatial awareness and just being confident in yourself, knowing what you can and cannot take, knowing where to be and where not to be when things are going down. And that honestly is just a lot of experience. Like, if you're familiar with other games in the sense of like games with a lot of pairing dynamics, my favorite example would actually be Ghost of Tsushima, surprisingly. Even though very different in setting, I find that their melee system is similar in the sense of the parrying, of that you do have a bit of the window where they indicate to you, but different weapons have different parry timings for the same window shown, if that makes sense. So you really need to learn your build with your weapons and how to use them. And once you're confident in yourself with how to use what you're good with, there's really not a lot in this game that gets too challenging, and here I am now, true souling absolutes alone. And when playing in a team setting, it's rare that I ever even take health damage at this point. It happens, don't get me wrong, you make a mistake and tactical is very squishy, so I can go 99% of the mission, but then in the last 30 seconds I lose my armor and get hit once. Yeah, there's half my health, but that's the first health damage that I took across the whole mission. Whereas with Bulwark, if he took that same damage, because his health pool is so much greater, it'd really only be like 20% maybe. So I find keeping your distance and knowing when it's time to switch to your sword is kind of the best with tactical, but he is rewarded by playing incredibly aggressively, but he doesn't always need to be, because he's so good at other things. Whereas a class like Vanguard, for example, I think they need to play hyper-aggressively to make the most of it. There's a lot of perk chains, and when they stack on top of each other, you have a pretty good damage output, but to achieve that, you need to be skilled enough and comfortable and aggressive enough to know how to play like that. Whereas if you're just going there thinking, I'll be fine because I'm Vanguard and I can zip around, but you can't even parry, good luck. You'll die very quickly. Parrying and block and knowing how to subvert enemy attacks that are coming regardless is really the quickest way to get good at this game. Ha! Eating my own words. But there you go, that's a parry and a gun strike, and he's done. Throw some grenades over there, deal with those guys. Who knows, maybe we'll get a Carnifex. Likely not, but it would have been fun. Are you kidding? Alright. Oh yeah, I'm already holding Gene Seed. That's just a spot there that I like to check. Grab some ammo and let's get going. It's hilarious if you watch the contrast between this and Absolute. And apologies for the messed up commentary there. All you hear is just me stressing out and breathing at times, but at least you know it's authentic. Here we are, kind of at the conclusion of this mission. I'm wondering how this boss fight will look. I'm just thinking his health is going to be so freaking low in comparison to what I'm used to, that maybe 2 mags to the head will be enough per life. But I'm also going to be parrying him as best I can. And for fun, no primary weapon until I get there. So when the blue comes up, that means that is a parryable attack or a blockable attack, so to say. When you see the red window come up, oh, I'm already breaking my rules. That means that it is an unblockable, which means that you must dodge it. You can perform a perfect dodge, that is possible, and which then would reward you with a gun strike, but more often than not, surprisingly, the gun strikes are very hard to take, especially when you're surrounded, because it locks you into a quick animation, and although it is quick, it is not something you always have the time for. I had to switch to block stance entirely because I got so frustrated with all the times I die while taking gun strikes that if I'm cornered and I have 2 block stances, it's perfect, because I get myself out right away. Guardian Relic. I'm already holding Gene Seed. Oh, I should explain what this is, though. This is a Guardian Relic. What that does is essentially quick revive if you're playing solo zombies. When you go down, it will revive you, or you can choose to use it if you still have a mortal wound or not. Be taking the Melta Bomb. It's probably the most powerful. There's a fire grenade. Those are frags, self-explanatory, and the Melta is big nuke, kind of. just big bomb that you have to place on the ground like a mine, and you have to manually detonate it, whereas the other bombs you just throw off and they do their thing. Here's Mr. Hive Tyrant. I've come to face you for 1,000th time. Let's see how much this does. Oh, this is crazy. So that's a perfect dodge. And he missed. He will spawn a horde at about half health, but that's fine. Oh fuck, my bad. Apologies for the locked inness of this, but that horde kind of surprised me. Oh. Get out of here. Honestly, I could probably be doing a whole lot more damage than if I decided to use the freaking chainsword, but I'm so used to playing like this, I guess, and that's that. And now he's gonna do his little wave attack. You just gotta dodge these guys. They are a bit frustrating initially though. Dodge, strike, block, or parry rather. Parry. Oh, see, too late on that first one. Perfect dodge again. Oh, I thought he'd hit me with that, surprisingly. Okay. There you go. Another. This is the Auspex scan. Does big damage. But he must be still for the one that I like to use. And I'll just hit him one last time. So, there you go. That could be your first mission playing Space Marine. And granted, you're supposed to be playing this with 2 other friends, but when you have all your class perks and a whole lot of hours on the game, you can do this kind of thing. Now let's see how I did. And then I'll explain how you can kind of upgrade your weapons and what to do with them after. But I'd say that was a pretty successful mission if you ask me. No downs, Gene C recovered. Not a whole lot of melee damage done, but you don't exactly need to sometimes. Bloody victory screen won't load quick enough. Be a bit annoying. Alright. If I get anything below A, I'm gonna be upset. That's right, A+. How you doing? 443 kills. Not bad. No teammates survived because I didn't have any. But... and you can see here, that's where you're leveling up your weapons. Because mine are maxed out, it's kind of irrelevant. But with that, you would unlock mastery points and armory data, which you acquire through playing missions. So if you head back here, I'll kind of show you how you would do that kind of thing. But imagine if you have nothing unlocked. So here you are, you just played your first mission, you have some things unlocked. This bar here, that would be at 0, would be up. And you would have now unlocked the Master Crafted tier. So, see these little orange guys here on the bottom right? The little circle, the points? That guy is because you have a mastery point acquired to the weapon, or you have maxed out the weapon. See how each weapon has XP to unlock for it? When you max out a weapon in whatever tier, you unlock a mastery point. So these, on this page here, the versions are simply the version of the weapon that you're going to use. Is it in the green tier, the purple tier, the relic tier, and then heroic, which we'll get into later. But really, relic tier is the best one for basic, non-heroic weapons. start in standard, then you unlock Mastercraft. So you need to max out the standard bolter here, then you get your mastery point, and now you've unlocked it this tier. So you take this guy, which you then now need to level up again to get that mastery point, and then you put your perks on your weapon. So in the standard one, here you go, magazine size increased by 15% of maximum. I had to get the mastery point from the standard tier to equip this perk, and as it goes on. But the kicker is, you see this currency up here, you can choose to spend that on a weapon here without having to actually play with it in game to level it up. So if you had, I don't know, 1 billion of those green little armory points and this guy was at 0, you can just double tap on it and max it out manually by spending one of those on it. So there is a bit of a currency to it, but generally it's pretty good. And as well as your class perks, these are unlocked by level. So from 1 to 25, you unlock all of these, but then at level 25, you were given the option to unlock these down here. So there are 4 prestiges in the game. I am prestige 4 on all classes, meaning I have max level, max perks, and all that fun stuff. But there are multiple prestige perks that you can pick, but you can only have 4 of them equipped at any given time. Once they're equipped, you have to pay $750 to reset it, but I've never really reset them. But you can see here, all the prestige perks are pretty freaking useful, so I would say it is worth it in you to prestige, especially if you think that's a class that you could play as your main class. If not, just get everything to 25 and see what you like. I find that, regardless of having everything maxed out, I always tend going back to classes just for fun and to see new builds and try out new things. But on that note, I think this would be time to conclude this video on just a bit of an intro to the channel and kind of an intro to Space Marine 2 in general. I think it's a great game. It's a lot of fun with good replayability, still lacking in some areas, but compared to a lot of the slop that's out in the gaming industry today, I think it's a lot more fun than the majority of things you're playing and spending your time with. Anyways, subscribe if you want to see some more Space Marine 2 content with myself and some of my friends. I'll be working to get the audio quality a bit better on those. This is the start of this channel, which I don't know how successful it will be. I don't really plan on it being anything crazy, just honestly posting myself with friends, having fun, and people enjoy it. If not, they don't, and that's fine too. Just having a lot of fun here, and thought I'd help some people out getting into this game. Anyways, it's the Blood Drake 40K heading out, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.